to another edition of Kitchen 701. I'm excited for this episode because I've had a few people suggest that I make this recipe, so I think it's about time that I'll do it. So I've had a couple people say I should make walleye cakes. And I don't know if you've ever had walleye cakes, but they're kind of a different version of crab cakes. And so I had every intention of making walleye cakes. Took out my fish out of the freezer, find out my fish is actually sunfish. So we're gonna make sunny cakes. I've actually never tried making sunny cakes, but it's, I think, gonna go great. So I'm gonna show you the steps involved to make walleye cakes, or sunny cakes, as we're gonna go with it today. The first step is you get about a pound of fish. Now, I probably got a little bit more than a pound. In fact, I know I do, but I've got these beautiful sunny fillets. And if you're from Minnesota like me, you love sunnies. I think it's just such a yummy treat to have fresh sunfish in the summer. So what we'll need to do here first with these sunnies is we need to make sure they are very, very dry. If you've ever made crab cakes or walleye cakes or anything like that, it needs to be super dry or they will not stick together. And then if it doesn't stick together, you end up with basically like a mashed cake, which it still tastes delicious, just doesn't look delicious. So we're gonna try to prevent that. So I already dried them off once after I got them out of the bag from the freezer and had it thawed out. So we're gonna do that again. I think these are pretty dry now. Now I said that I'm gonna do more than a pound because I'm actually going to probably fry up some of these fillets, do a little bit of that in case I do have extra, which I'm assuming that I will. So I'm just gonna kind of set aside a few of the fillets because we'll just dry those up. So after we've got these dried, I see there's a few spots here that I could probably just remove where, you know, we could have had them cleaned maybe a little better. Dad, did you clean these fish? I don't know what's going on here. Just kidding. Okay, so I've got some spots removed there that we'll want to do. So we're gonna do a pretty thin chop of the fish pieces here. Because if you imagine like a crab cake, that crab is pretty finely chopped. So we're gonna do that same thing. So if you see what I'm doing here, it's pretty finely chopped up. Doesn't need to be anything perfect, but that looks pretty good, I think. So we're gonna start to just put those chopped pieces in a bowl because actually this recipe is really easy. We just take all the ingredients that we need, mix them together in a bowl, and just make patties out of them. So I'll show you the other ingredients here in a little bit once we get this fish chopped up. But essentially, it's really easy. You just have to do a little bit of prep work, which I don't mind because these sunny cakes, if they're anything like the walleye cakes I've made, they're gonna be delicious. All right, so we're gonna chop away here. Okay, so I've got a reasonable amount here, about a pound's worth of sunfish fillets. I'm gonna set aside these, like I said, and probably fry those up, hopefully tomorrow night. But my favorite way of frying fish that I think is just a timeless classic is doing flour egg cracker. Just dip them in flour, dip them in egg, dip them in cracker, and fry them in a cast iron skillet. So delicious. Okay, so let's keep moving here. The interesting part about this recipe that, you know, might be unexpected is there actually is some crab in here. You could do crab from a can, or you could do this imitation crab, which is what I chose to do. I always like to keep this imitation crab in my freezer. Freezes really well, and I use this in a lot of recipes. So about 8 ounces, a half pound of this imitation crab is going to go in there too. Now, if you're not a seafood lover, you don't need to put that in. You can just add more of the fish. But the crab and fish just go together really well. So it'll be really delicious. Again, a pretty fine chop. I'm gonna grab one more piece of the imitation crab. Get this finely chopped up here. And then we get on to some vegetables that we're going to add that we're gonna need to chop up and put in here as well. All right, so here we go. Show you what this looks like. We've got our sunnies and our crab chopped up pretty finely, getting that all mixed together. Next up is we're going to take about 1/4 of a cup of a green pepper, really finely chopped, and I mean really finely chopped. You could do a green pepper or a red or orange or yellow pepper. The pepper flavor is really good in here. The original recipe that I usually use calls for green onions. I didn't have green onions, and I always encourage you to just use what you have. So I've got an onion from the garden that I'm going to chop up again really finely, about 1/4 cup of that. So that's what I'm gonna do now and get that added to this bowl as well. So I will just keep chopping away here. Okay, so now I've got my green pepper chopped up. Remember, you can do a red pepper, yellow, orange, whatever you wanna do. And my white onion from my garden. Again, you can use green onions too. That's what the original recipe calls for. But, so we've got this all nicely, kind of uniformly chopped up, so it's all about the same size. And here's where the rest of it gets really easy. We take some melted butter, about 1/4 cup. That goes in. 1/2 cup of panko bread crumbs. Those are the Italian seasoned ones. You don't necessarily need to do that. And then we're going to do about 1/4 cup of mayo is what the recipe calls for. I usually like to substitute Greek yogurt for whenever they call for mayo or even sour cream. But the problem with substituting that is mayo really has a good sticky quality. So we're gonna do a little less than 1/4 cup of the Greek yogurt. And then I'll wipe off that spoon. I'm gonna add in just a tiny bit of mayo, just to kind of help it with that sticky factor. Okay, so we're gonna put that in there as well. So again, pretty easy so far, right? And then we need 1 egg cracked in there. We're going to do just a little bit of Dijon mustard. I'm not a huge mustard fan, but that Dijon mustard does give it a good flavor. And then we've got some Old Bay seasoning. If you are familiar with making fish, you need to have Old Bay seasoning, right? It's just a classic for any fish recipe. Quite a bit of Old Bay seasoning. We haven't salted this yet. We're gonna do some Lawry's. Lawry's is a good salt. And then I'm gonna add pepper after I've fried them. So here's the fun part. We're just going to mix this all together and get it so it's all incorporated. Look at that, it's looking pretty nice. Get this all mixed so we can make our patties for frying. Then that's all we have left to do is get these babies fried up. Okay, so, stealing my knife over there? Yeah. Okay, so look at that. It's nice and sticky. We know it's gonna hold together. Like I said, let's get these patties made up. All right, so you get to get nice and messy here. Assemble whatever size patties you want. That's about good because then you can have a couple for your meal, or maybe you're gonna do it as apps. In this case, we're gonna have this be our meal. We're gonna pair this with some maybe cauliflower rice, maybe some steamed veggies. Haven't decided that part yet, but we'll get there. This at least is our main course. All right, so we'll get these patties all assembled till we've used them all up. Okay, look at those beautiful patties. They're ready to fry. So that is what we are going to do next after I wash these babies. Okay, I moved you over here by the stove so that we can watch this frying process. Now, frying fish can be a little difficult, especially if you've done that flour, egg, cracker method, because you want to keep that fish whole. Fish can be a little fragile, so we're going to be as delicate as we can with these to make sure it all stays nice and whole, because we want to have these beautiful round crab cakes, sunny cakes, right? Okay, so I've got my cast iron skillet. My oil is nice and warm. It's not scalding hot. We don't want it to get too hot. And then we are going to just get these in here. Got about an 1/8 inch of oil, and again, we got that nice and warm. One of the tricks to making anything fish related when you fry it is you don't want to overcrowd the pan. It's never good to do that anyway when you're frying things, but especially with fish, because you need to have room to use this nice contraption. You want to have plenty of room to do it. So we're going to let these hang out a couple minutes per side. Then the tricky part, flipping them. So you're going to be watching this to see how good I really am at it. It's also a true test for myself. So we'll let this fry up a couple minutes. Okay, so I'm starting to see some browning around the edges, just slightly. That's when I know I'm ready to flip these. Okay, so here's the true test. Get one of these handy dandy guys and a fork. Let's see if I can put my money where my mouth is. Woo! Look at how nice and golden brown that is. Look at that. You can hear Adeline in the background. She's excited too. Look at those. Oh my goodness. I was hungry before, but now I'm getting really hungry. Look at that. So nice and golden brown. You can still see the green onions in there. You can see a little bit of the crab. So again, we're just gonna let this hang out for a couple minutes on this side now. And then they're gonna be ready to take out. We're gonna do it with the rest of them that we have here. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Okay, so these have been frying for a couple minutes on this other side. And fish should always feel pretty firm when it's done, so they all feel really nice and firm. The beauty of using a cast iron skillet with oil, gotta love oil, right, is that it just virtually does not stick. So sticking to this pan, that is not gonna be an issue. Got my plate ready for these to go onto. Oh my gosh, they just look so yummy. I cannot wait to eat these. All right, so now we are just going to continue frying up this other batch the same way that we did these. We're gonna hope that I have the patience to wait. I don't know if I do at this point. I really want to bust into one of those. But we're gonna fry these up just like what we did before. And then let's talk about what we do as far as eating these. I'm gonna eat mine plain. Britton has decided he's gonna make a crab cake, sunny cake sandwich, which shout out to Indian Rocks Beach in Florida. They make the best crab cake sandwich. So you could do a sunny cake sandwich, definitely. You could add a little bit of my favorite condiment, yum yum sauce. You could add that on top. You could also do just a tartar sauce or some sort of relish, and it would also be delicious. I'm a pretty traditional fish person and like to just simply have it plain, which is probably what I'm gonna do. Maybe some yum yum sauce, but we're going to just let these cook away. Okay, so we've got these final ones frying up here. And they are ready to go. They're nice and golden brown. Okay, check that out. Do those not look amazing? Man, I don't know. The Kooky Coconut and Indian Rocks Beach might have some competition here with their crab cake sandwich. Oh my gosh, this just looks so delicious. Shout out to my dad for some recipe basics that he gave me. I kind of tweaked it a little like I have over the years. I am so ready to enjoy these. All I need is a little bit of pepper. Put right over the top. Oh, dinner is ready. Thanks for watching.